Hello, my name is Ajman Amin, and today I'm going to talk to you about the electoral system of Tunisia. So, a little bit of background on Tunisia. Tunisia, the official name for Tunisia is the Republic of Tunisia, and in Arabic, it's Al-Jumhuriyah al-Tunisia. It's located at the northernmost tip of Africa, as you can see on the map. It has a population of almost 11 million people, and out of those 11 million people, 5 million are registered to vote. There are three main languages, official languages for Tunisia. First is the Tunisian Arabic. It is a dialect based on Tunisia. Second is a language called Berber. And third is French. Moving on, let's look at the timeline of events that's relevant to today's discussion, to today's presentation. So in 1881, French troops have occupied Tunisia. So Tunisia became a colony of the French in 1881. In 1956, Tunisia becomes independent with Habib Bourguiba as the prime minister. And that's the year monarchy is abolished and Tunisia becomes a republic the following year. So Tunisia abolishes monarchy and establishes republic method in 1957. In 1987, Prime Minister Zine El Abidine Ben Ali has President Bourguiba declared mentally unfit to rule and therefore takes power himself. You have to understand that President Bourguiba has been the leader of Tunisia, has been the president of Tunisia from 1957 till 1987. He did come through power through elections. How legitimate are those elections? That's a completely different question. But in 87, Ben Ali has ousted President Bourguiba and have declared himself as the new president. In 2011, we see the Arab Spring, and through the Arab Spring, the normal common citizens of Tunisia made Ben Ali to give up his power, and then he was sent as an exile outside of Tunisia. And in 2014, we see the first election in Tunisia, the first election for prime minister in Tunisia, and Beji Said Essebsi was elected. We did have the first election actually took place in 2011, but that election was for the assembly, not for the president per se, and we will get more into that later. Now let's look more into the mode of governance in Tunisia. So Tunisia has a mode that's called unitary semi-presidential. Unitary means that the central government has the utmost authority, and it's semi-presidential because you have a president and you have a prime minister. So Tunisia has a president, a prime minister, and a cabinet as well. The president is elected through an absolute majority vote, and there are two rounds of election. So after the first round, the top two candidates move on to the second round, and the winner of the second round takes it all. The current constitution stipulates that the president cannot serve more than 2 terms. The prime minister, on the other hand, is elected by the parliament and not by the people. And the prime minister, together with the cabinet, makes up the legislative branch. The cabinet is a unicameral chamber of the people's deputies, and it has 217 seats. And the members of these chambers are actually elected by the people. So to recap, the president is elected by the people, the prime minister is elected by the parliament or the chamber, and the chamber is elected by the people. Now moving on. Before the revolution, the electoral system was a bit different. So prior to the revolution, the president was elected for 5 years, and from 1956 to 1975, the president could run for re-election any number of times. And in 1975, when Bourguiba won his 4th consecutive term, he declared himself as the president for life, ergo he became a dictator. And in 87, after coming to power, Ben Ali limited this unlimited number of re-election to just 3. But here's the catch. In 2002, he won a referendum and abolished the term limit and also raised the maximum age of the president from 70 to 75 so that he can run for re-election again, which he did, and he won. Then we had the Arab Spring in 2011. The Arab Spring was, as we know, protest by the ordinary citizen. They were so frustrated because of unemployment, lack of freedom of speech, high inflation, and high corruption. The whole thing was actually instigated by the death of a vegetable vendor by the name of Mohammed Bouazi. He set himself on fire because the government officials actually seized his goods. It was a symbol of protest, and that really instigated the whole thing. And the Arab Spring was successful in ousting Ben Ali. He was in power for 24 years before that. Now let's talk about post-revolution. So on 3rd March 2011, the President Ben Ali announced that elections to a Constituent Assembly would be held on 23 October 2011. That was Ben Ali himself. Now, in 2011, there was an election for the Constituent Assembly. The election was declared free and fair by the International Observer. It was not corrupt. It was as the people have wanted. And in 2011, the Ennahda party won the majority of the Constituent Assembly, and therefore they came into power. And the Ennahda party actually elected Monsef Marzouki as the first president. Now, this is a bit confusing, so you have to understand that the first election in 2011 was not for president, but for the Constituent Assembly. Now, the Constituent Assembly basically is a body who is in charge of writing the first constitution after the Arab Spring. And when they were chosen, the first thing they did was they made the constitution, and they also elected the first president, and he was Monsef Marzouki. Also, one thing to highlight is that the Ennahda party, even though they are a moderate religious party, they said that they will not support making Sharia a main source of legislation. That point is really important to notice. Moving over to the elections. So, Tunisia's legislative branch consists of the Assembly of Representatives of the People, as I've said before. They are elected every 5 years directly by the people. And as I said, the first election was in 2011, won by the Ennahda party. And those constituent assemblies and other chambers are based on governorates. Now, governorates are actually like tiny segments of the country, kind of similar to the states. Now, moving on to the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I would think that Tunisia has been doing some really good, impressive achievements. It's mostly